Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to divide decimals. Now let's say that you have this problem here, 0.1344 divided by 0.032. Now again, when we're going to do this problem, it's going to be very similar to when we were dividing whole numbers in section 1.5. So if you don't remember, make sure you go back to section 1.5 and you will see how we did it. Now, again, remember, this is what goes inside and this is what goes outside of that box here. Inside we have 0.1344 and outside we have 0.032. Now, here's the critical part. On the outside, you are not allowed to have any decimal number at all. You need to get rid of your decimal numbers. So here's a decimal point. Which way should I move it to get rid of it? To the left or to the right? Technically, it's to the right. But how many times I need to move it so I can kick the decimal out? So let's see. Once. So if I move it here, it will still be here. Let's keep moving it. 2, then 3. So I would have to move it 3 times so I can kick it out. But whatever you do on the outside here, you have to do it inside also. So if I moved the decimal 3 times here, I have to move the decimal 3 times here as well. So 1, 2, 3. So now it is advised to rewrite the problem. So technically, if I move the decimal, it's no longer here, it's technically there. So it's technically 0, 0, 3, 2, point like this. But this problem here, this number, isn't it just 32 if you're reading it? Yes. We don't care about the 0 here. So technically, it's just 32. So we should just go ahead and write down 32. So 32. And if I move the decimal here, the decimal is no longer there. Now it's there. So this one inside here is now, we forget about that 0. It's now 134.4. So now we have our problems here. Again, if you remember how we divided in section 1.5, if you don't remember, just go ahead and go back and see how we did it. So 32, how many times 32 goes into 134? Like we said, sometimes it's hard to figure out how many times 32 goes into 134. So we use the trick. We looked at the first digit here, and we'll look at 13. So we try to guess how many times 3 goes into 13. So again, if you remember that 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times 5 is 15. So 13 is somewhere in there, right? So technically, 3 goes into 13 4 times. Because 3 goes into 12, how many times? 4 times. So if 3 goes into 13 4 times, there's a high chance that 32 goes into 134 4 times as well. So we have to check by multiplying. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 128, which is fairly close enough to 134. So our guess, our assumption was correct. So 32 goes into 134 4 times. 4 times 32 is 128, like we said. We subtract. 4 take away 8, cannot do. Borrow 1, this becomes a 2. So we have 14 take away 8, which is 6. 2 take away 2 is 0, don't have to write it. 1 take away 1 is 0, we don't have to write it. Again, that decimal point, before you move on to the 4, and before you're able to bring down the 4, that decimal point here, you have to kick it up. You have to get rid of it and kick it up here. Now we can bring down the 4. And now we can see how many times 32 goes into 64. Again, if you add 32 and 32, what do we get? 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6. I guarantee that 32 goes into 64 how many times? Exactly 2 times. And you can check by doing 32 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. So 32 goes into 64 twice. 2 times 32 is 64. 64 minus 64 is 0. So your final answer is 4.2 with no remainder of 0. Let's look at another problem here. So let's say that you have 58.092 divided by 82. And they ask you to round your answer to the nearest thousand. So before we even care about this part here, let's start doing the problem. Again, this one goes inside, and this one goes on the outside. So for our box here, the 82 goes on the outside, and this one here goes on the inside. Now here's the thing, we do not care about the decimal inside. The rule is you're not allowed to have any decimal on the outside here. So we don't care about the decimal on the inside here. So we start doing the problem. So we start to check how many times 82 goes into 58. We cannot say 580 or anything, cannot pass that decimal here. So we have to say how many times 82 goes into 58. 82 is too big to go in 58. So how many times 82 goes into 58? 0 times. 0 times 82 is 0. So 58 take away 0, since we didn't take anything away really. So 58 take away 0 is still 58. So before we continue the problem, we have to take that decimal and kick it up before we're even allowed to bring down that 0 here. So now we have 82 and 580. Remember, it's kind of hard to figure out how many times 82 goes into 580. So what you do is you look at the first number here, which is 8. And instead of trying to check how many times 82 goes into 580, you want to check how many times 8 goes into 58. Not 5, because 8 doesn't go into 5. So how many times 8 goes into 58? Again, we go back and try to remember our multiplication table. We know that 8 times 7 is 56. And 8 times 8 is 64. And this one is the smallest one and the closest to 58 here. So therefore, 8 goes into 58 7 times. So the logic behind this is if 8 goes into 58 7 times, 82 might as well goes into 580 7 times. The only way to check is by multiplying 82 by 7. Since, again, let's say it again, since 8 goes into 58 7 times, 82 might go into 580 7 times as well. So if you're a little bit rusty about this, go back to section 1.5 and you'll see how we did it. 7 times 2 is 14, carry a 1. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 plus 1 is 57. Our guess was right. 82 goes into 580 7 times, because 574 is as close as it can get to 580. So we put a 7 here. 7 times 82 is 574. Again, we cannot do 0 take away 4, borrow 1 from this one becomes a 7, so 10 take away 4 is 6, 7 take away 7 is 0, 5 take away 5 is 0. Don't need to write it. Bring down the next number, bring down the 0. 82, how many times 82 goes into 60? 0 times, it just doesn't go. So every time you bring down something, make sure you ask yourself the question, how many times this number goes into that number? 0 times. 0 times 82 is 0, take away, 60 take away 0 is still 60. Bring down the 9. Now we have 609. So look at this. When we did 82 times 7, we got 574. So all we have to do is now let's check 82 times 8 to see what we get. So we can know how many times 82 times goes into 609. So 8 times 2 is 16, carry a 1. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 1 is 56. So it's still going 7 times, because 656 is too big. So 82 doesn't go into 609 8 times. 82 goes into 609 7 times. 7 times 82 is 574. 9 take away 4 is 5. 0 take away 7, cannot do that. Borrow 1, this becomes a 5. 10 take away 7 is 3. 5 take away 5 is 0, don't need to write it down. Bring down the 2. Now the question is, when do we stop? Because they asked us to round to the nearest thousandth. And I'll show you when to stop, because this is the 10th, this is 100th, and this is 1000. But we need another number here to know what to round it to. So we'll see. How many times 82 goes into 352? Again, it's kind of hard to know how many times, so we can take a guess by looking at the 8 here and the 35. So again, since we know that 8 times 4 is 32, and 8 times 5 is 40, 32 is the closest one to 35, so we can see it is safe to say that 8 goes into 35 4 times. So if 8 goes into 35 4 times, 82 might go into 352 4 times as well. So all we have to do again is to check. So let's check. So we're gonna do 82 times 4. So 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 8 is 32. So again, we were right. The assumption was right. how many times 82 goes into 352? It's 4 times. So 4 times 82 is 328. So 2 take away 8 cannot do. Borrow 1 from this one. This one becomes a 4. This is 12. 12 take away 8 is 4. 4 take away 2 is 2. And then 3 take away 3 is nothing. So your final answer is this with a remainder of 24. Now the reason why we stopped here is because they wanted to round to the nearest thousandth. Like we say, this number is in the 10th place. This one is in the 100th. And this one is the one that is in the 1000th place. So again, remember about rounding. When we were rounding, this number is the number that I am interested in. So if I want to round this number, it's either this number stays the same or I add 1 to it. But all I have to do is look to the right of the number. What do I have here? 4. If that was bigger than 5, the 7 will become 8 by adding 1 to it. But since it's less than 5, it stays the same. It stays 7. So we just have to drop the 4. We always drop everything that is here. If you forget about rounding, so make sure you go back to our videos in section 3.1 and you will see how we round it. So this is your final answer, 0.707. Let's do another example here. So let's say that you have 420.9 divided by 7.06 and they want you to round it to the nearest tenth. So again, let's set up a problem. We know that this one goes inside and this one goes on the outside. So this one goes on the outside here, 7.06, and 420.9 goes on the outside, on the inside. We don't need any decimal number on the outside here, ever. We don't ever want a decimal point here, so we have to take it and move it to the left or to the right, but to the right, so we can kick it out. 1, 2, so we kick it out here. So this is now 706. If I moved it to the right twice on the outside, I have to do it inside also. 1, 2. So any empty spot, I fill it in with a 0. So the decimal is no longer here. Now it's there. So now the number inside looks like this. And now we want to see how many times 706 goes into this huge number here. So the trick is to find how many times 706 goes into not 420, because 706 cannot go into 420s, but 4,209. Now, since this is a little bit too big to figure out how many times 706 goes into 4,209, we can use a trick. We can try to check how many times 7 goes into 42. Now, we know that 7 times 6 is 42. So 7 goes into 42 6 times. Since 7 goes into 42 6 times, there's a chance that 706 might go into 4,209 6 times as well. So all we have to do is check what 706 times 6 give us. So 6 times 6 is 36, carry a 3, 6 times 0 is 0 plus 3 is 3, 6 times 7 is 42. So we have this number here, which is bigger than this. So 706 doesn't go into this number 6 times. Even if we're not right here, we didn't guess the right number, at least we know that we can go down and try 5 instead of 6. So 5 times 6 is 30, carry a 3, 5 times 0 is 0 plus 3 is 3, 5 times 7 is 35. So we know now that 706 goes into 4,209 5 times. So we put 5 here. 5 times 706 is 3,530. And we're subtracting. 9 take away 0 is 9. Borrow 1 from this, so we have 1 left. 10 take away 3 is 7. So borrow 1 here. So this is 3. So 11 take away 5 is 6. So we bring down a 0. So we have this here, 709 into this. Again, let's take a guess. Instead of trying to find how many times 706 goes into 6,790, we want to check how many times 7 goes into 67 instead. Again, we know that 7 times 9 is 63, and 7 times 10 is 70. Therefore, 7 will go into 67 9 times, because 63 is the closest one to 67 here, and that is smaller than 67. So since 7 goes into 67 9 times, there's a chance that 706 goes into 6,790 9 times as well. All we have to do is check. So by doing 706 times 9. 9 times 6 is 54, carry a 5. 9 times 0 is 0 plus 5 is 5. 7 times 9 is 63. We were right, so it goes in 9 times. So 9 times 706 is 6,354. Borrow 1. So 10 take away 4 is 6. So this one becomes an 8. 8 take away 5 is 3. 7 take away 3 is 4. 6 take away 6 is 0. We don't need to write it. Now the thing is, they wanted me to round it to the nearest tenth. There's no more number to bring down here. When there's no more number to bring down, what you will always want to do is you want to put a decimal point here. You're going to take that decimal point, you're going to kick it up, and you're going to put a 0 here. You're going to put your own 0 here, a 0 that was not there. You're going to put your own 0 here, and you're going to bring that 0 down. Again, what was the trick? You put your own decimal point here, kick it up, bring your own 0, and bring it down. Decimal point go up, 0 go down. Now we want to check how many times 706 goes into 4360. It's probably going to be 5 times. Well, it's probably going to be 6 times, because 706 times 6, we already have it here. It's 4236. So it's 6 times. So 6 times 706 is 4236, 4,236. Let us subtract here. So borrow 1, this becomes a 5. So 10 take away 6 is 4. 5 take away 3 is 2. 3 take away 2 is 1. Again, there's nothing to bring down. You want to keep doing the problem because they want you to round to the nearest tenth, and I'll show you when to stop because this is the 10th place. I need one more number so I know if I'm going to round this number to 7 or if I'm going to leave it as 6. Remember rounding, we always need to look to the right, to the number to the right, to know if this number is going to become a 7 or if it's going to stay the same. So we need one more number. So bring down the 0. So we're going to write a 0 and bring down a 0 here. So how many times 706 goes into 1240 again? Look at 7 and look at 12. We know that 7 times 12 is, times 2 is 14, and 7 times 1 is 7. So how many times 7 goes into 12? It's only once. Since 7 goes into 12 once, 706 might as well goes into 1240 once. So what number we put here? We put a 1. So 1 times 706. And we can check also, if we did 706 times 1, 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 7 is 7. If we did 706 times 2, what would we get? 2 times 6 is 12, carry a 1, 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, 2 times 7 is 14. So you see, that's why it cannot go twice. If we said twice, the number would be bigger than this. It's not good. So 706 goes into 1,240 once. So that's why we put a 1 here. So 1 times 706 is 706. We're going to subtract. Borrow 1, 10 take away 6 is 4. This one became a 3. 3 take away 0 is 3. 12 take away 7 is 5. So your answer here on top here is 59.61. Now why did we stop? It's because they want us to round to the nearest tenth. We have enough information here to round to the nearest tenth. Because where is the 10th? Which number is in the 10th place? This one is in the 10th place, like we said before. So we look to its right. If the number is less than 5, the number to its right is less than 5, we're not going to add a 1 to that number. We're going to keep it the same, and we're going to drop anything to its right. So that means the 1, we're going to drop it. So your final answer is 59.6. Thanks for watching and make sure you practice. Bye.